Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into leather sandals dusted with Nile silt, the kind that chafes between your toes. You're not just late for temple duty. Your pharaoh's lunch offering gets stolen by a monkey late, and trust me, you'd rather face the monkey. Picture this. Pre-dawn darkness clings to Thebes like sweat on a limestone block. Your sandals slap against baked earth as you sprint toward Karnak's eastern gates. The sacred fire never sleeps, and neither do the priests guarding it. One misstep here, and your punishment's carved into temple records thicker than Ramses II's ego. Here's the reality check. You probably won't survive this. Not because of divine wrath or crocodile pits, but the paperwork alone could mummify you faster than natron salts. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. Let's see who's braving temple duty in Tokyo traffic or New York subway delays. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You skid into the hall of offerings 2 breaths past sunrise. Incense smoke stings your eyes, the air's thick enough to chew. Across the chamber, the eternal flame gutters in its bronze basin. Fact check. Temple fires literally never went out. Priests rotated shifts like soldiers guarding a pharaoh's tomb. Let that one flicker die. Now you're insulting Ra's entire weekend plan. A shadow detaches from the columns, senior priest Merpta. His linen headdress dwarfs his scowling face. The sun's already crowned the horizon, he says. You count 5 heartbeats before he adds, fetch the acacia logs. You freeze. Everyone knows acacia burns hotter than regular timber and splinters twice as mean. Historians still argue whether priests chose it for sacred symbolism or just enjoyed watching apprentices suffer. The woodpile mocks you from the courtyard. Each log's bark has been stripped ritualistically. No rogue insects defiling Ra's radiance. You grab the first piece. Splinters bite your palms. By the 3rd log, your hands look like you fist-fought a desert thorn bush. Merpta watches you rebuild the fire. His silence weighs more than a pyramid's foundation stone. When flames finally crackle, he gestures to the offering table. The bread's gone stale in your absence. Translation: breakfast is now your problem. You stare at the golden platter. The 8 loaves, baked at midnight by temple virgins, because deities crave overtime labor, have hardened into weapon-grade projectiles. One wrong move, and you're explaining to Osiris why his afterlife snacks now resemble construction materials. But here's the quirky bit no one mentions. Those virgins were likely postmenopausal women. Ancient texts avoid mentioning their ages, though some wall carvings show bakers with laugh lines deeper than Nile flood channels. You reach for a jug of honey, only to find it's been replaced with a clay note. Fetch fresh figs from the southern orchards. The scribbled hieroglyphs practically smirk. Outside, Sunrise has morphed into mid-morning inferno. Your linen tunic sticks like a second skin. Halfway to the orchards, you pass a grinning laborer chiseling limestone. He waves with a hammer. You consider chucking a stale loaf at him, but divine punishment probably includes mandatory stonemasonry. By sundown, your feet bleed through sandal straps. The figs have ripened into mush. Merpta inspects them with nostrils flared. The gods prefer firm fruit, he says. You half expect him to add and punctual priests. Your punishment arrives at moonrise. 7 nights cleaning censers. Sacred ashes coat your arms like toxic glitter. Each morning, you'll scrub hieratic numerals off reusable papyri, because even ancient Egyptians hated wasting stationery. As you collapse onto a reed mat, dawn's first light already stains the horizon. Somewhere, a monkey steals another pharaoh's lunch. You wonder if it's having a better week than you. You squint at the star-flecked sky, your fingers tracing imaginary lines between constellations. No pocket watches here, just the tilt of Ursa Major's tail and the twitch of Sirius. Slip up tonight, and tomorrow's punishment might involve, well, let's not spoil the scarab surprise. The temple's shadow clock lies abandoned, its slanting obelisk silhouette useless after sunset. Instead, you clutch a merkit, that's instrument of knowing, for non-Egyptian king enthusiasts. 2 notched sticks and a plumb-line Stone Age astronomy at its finest. Align them with Polaris, and voila, you've got curfew enforcement down to a 20-minute window. Historians still argue whether priest astronomers could actually predict lunar cycles or just blamed mistakes on divine whims. Dew soaks through your linen wrap as you kneel, sand gritting under your knees. That dim cluster near Orion, your decans, 36 star groups dividing the night into tidy 40-minute chunks. Miss one shift, and Ra's morning fury awaits. Fun fact, these same stars later inspired the 24-hour day, though we ditched the scratchy robes and snakebite risks. A water clock drips somewhere in the dark, its pottery bowl marking second-tier time checks. You'd prefer its gurgle over this star-juggling act, but no. Celestial duties reserved for, let's say, error-prone initiates. Your predecessor supposedly mixed up Leo and Libra. Now he's scrubbing embalming vats. The gag. Leo's not even visible this season. A bat swoops, your plumb line tangles in a palm frond. 18 decans counted, or was it 17? The chief priest's ibis feather scale tilts in your mind's eye. Correctness means extra bread rations. A mistake earns you Sobek's surprise. Spoiler, it involves crocodile ponds and apology hymns. You recalculate using the V of Cygnus method frowned upon by purists. Modern trivia alert. Some fringe theorists claim decans mapped sacred animal burial sites, not time. Try explaining that to a priest waving a scorpion whip. The water clock's final drip echoes your neck cramping from upward squints. Dawn pinks the horizon. You've either nailed it or doomed the harvest. The chief priest approaches, his side eye sharper than a pyramid's capstone. His verdict comes in hieratic script and a backhanded compliment about your creative star charts. Turns out mixing up Rigel and Beetlejuice has consequences. Hello. Midnight silt sifting duty. On the bright side, you've mastered the art of blaming celestial drift. Just don't mention Earth's axial precession unless you fancy polishing sarcophagi until the next millennium. Your sandals squelch toward the priest's domain, each step heavier than a granite sarcophagus. Moonlight glints off their water clocks, pottery bowls with cryptic markings along the rim. The drip, drip, drip mocks your lateness like a nagging ant. Fun fact: the oldest surviving Egyptian water clock dates back to Amenhotep III's reign. Its alabaster bowl, carved with star charts and snake motifs. Robed figures hover near the central clepsydra. Its drainage hole leaks seconds like liquid guilt. One priest eyes your mud-streaked tunic, mouth twitching under his ceremonial beard. His feather-tipped rod taps the water level. Third hour of the night, he intones. You're tardier than set at Osiris' banquet. You glance at the nearby merkit, its plumb line swaying like a cobra's dance. Rookie mistake. Priests cross-check celestial readings with their dripping enforcers. Your star charts claimed Horus I peaks at dawn, but Sobek's pond proved otherwise. Now you're here, beginners always are kneeling before time's ceramic judges. The head priest uncorks a secondary clock. Its narrow spout extends the verdict's agony. Water pools around your knees. The official punishment: hauling Nile silt for sunrise offerings. The unofficial one: enduring his lecture about temporal piety. His breath smells of stale barley beer. A fringe theory claims priests drank fermented emmer to channel Thoth's wisdom. Historians still argue whether temple ale fueled divine insights or just poor timekeeping decisions. Your fingers trace the clepsydra's inner grooves, worn smooth by centuries of anxious touches. Each etched line represents 10 minutes unless the priest dislikes you. Then it magically shrinks. Rumor says they'd add honey to thicken the water, slowing drips during tedious rituals. Tonight's liquid flows faster than a jackal chasing a mouse. A junior priest tosses you a leaky amphora, its base already weeping. The sacred lake awaits. He smirks. Don't spill, or we'll deduct it from your afterlife credits. You shoulder the vessel, its weight bowing your spine. The head priest scribbles your offense on an ostracon. His hieratic script loops like a noose. Dawn pinks the horizon as you trudge toward the marshes. Frogs croak a taunting rhythm, syncopated with your splashes. The water clock's echo follows you, its drips, now measured in blistered palms and mocking herons. By noon, you'll smell like fermented lotus. By dusk, you'll dream of smashing every clepsydra from Memphis to Aswan. But here's the kicker. Those priests rely on the same clocks for their own rituals. Miss a midnight incantation, they'd face Amit's appetite like the rest of us. Yet none ever do. Maybe they've mastered time, Or maybe they've just mastered the art of blaming wayward stars. Your lungs burn hotter than Ra's midday chariot. Each breath tastes like scorched desert air. The limestone block shifts on your back, its edges biting through sweat-soaked linen. Welcome to the ancient 5-minute rule, where a catnap's cost is measured in tons. Historians confirm workers built pyramids with ramps lubricated by Nile mud. But they rarely mention this penal labor. Your sandals skid on powdered stone. The quarry's white dust coats your eyelids like vengeful ghosts. Overseers bark through reed megaphones, their voices hoarse from inhaling millennia-old rock particles. Funny thing, texts describe scribes sneezing ink blots during dust storms. Yet somehow your misery feels less quaint. The priest's verdict echoes 10 blocks before sunset, or add 5 more under moonlight. Shadows mock you, stretching longer as Ra flees toward the underworld. Your hands bleed into the rope harness, a generous temple loan requiring interest in sweat equity. Here's the kicker: limestone's sacred because it holds sunlight. Priests claim it channels Ra's power. Workers know it holds heat like a scorned lover. Every step bakes your souls. You'd kill for those crocodile dung sandals now. Archaeologists found tug-of-war murals depicting similar labor. Historians still argue whether it was team building or punishment. A girl trudges past balancing a water jug, its surface slick with condensation. She's temple staff, too probably docked for smiling during somber rituals. Her nod says, "I've done this," the ancient Egyptian version of first time. Humor. The quarry reeks of desperation, and donkey dung animals here get better rest breaks. You count blocks delivered, 4 down, 6 left. Each bears a mason's chisel mark, your incompetence immortalized in hieroglyphic tallies. Sunset nears, sky bleeding orange as Horus closes his eyes. Overseers check your haul with palm frond ticker tape because papyrus was too classy for this. 1 block short. Moonlight duty awaits, its silver glow offering no mercy. But wait, that quickie nap culprit. Your reed mat still bears the impression of your ear. Priests preach mad's balance, yet nobody mentions equilibrium between eyelids and stone slabs. Maybe afterlife judges will care, assuming your spine survives till dawn. Dawn cracks your knuckles before you do, fingers stiff from midnight limestone runs. A priest's sandal prods your ribs. You missed first offering. Their smirk says everything. You're knee-deep in silt now, literally. The Nile's gift becomes your curse, centuries of river mud caked on sacred bowls. Each crusted vessel mocks you. This could have been wine duty, they seem to whisper. You kneel at the purification pool, ankles submerged in lukewarm water. Silt squelches between toes, an unscheduled mud bath, minus the luxury. The head priest tosses you a palm frond brush. Its frayed edges promise blisters. Scrubbing begins. Ancient food residues cling like spiteful spirits. Archaeologists found traces of honeyed figs in similar bowls. Historians still argue whether crumbs held ritual significance. Fellow priests glide past, their linen unstained. One coughs pointedly, a checklist of your failures set to rhythm. Your 20th bowl reveals someone's half-eaten pomegranate, 4 goddesses carved into its base, now stained red. Workers joked about reusing offerings. Turns out, eternal sustenance meant endless scrubbing for the tardy. Noon sun bakes the courtyard. Water evaporates faster than your dignity. A slave boy refills your basin. He's the third to pity giggle today. The silt here isn't ordinary. Rumor claims it's mixed with pulverized amulets for spiritual cleansing. Judging by your raw fingertips, the magic's in the abrasion. By dusk, your hands mimic prunes, if prunes bled, and cursed under their breath. Priests inspect each bowl under lamplight, rejecting 3 for shadow particles. Your dinner's forfeited. Apparently shame feeds the soul better than bread. As stars emerge, you spot the quarry crew trudging past. One nods, Egypt's version of welcome to the suck. The final bowl taunts you, a duck-shaped vessel with sauce fossilized in its beak. You wonder if the duck gods are laughing too. Moonrise brings a kind gesture. An apprentice offers diluted beer. It tastes like sour gratitude, but the buzz numbs your shredded palms. Historians love debating temple sanitation standards, conveniently ignoring the labor behind the glittering altars. You finish as night priests begin their chants, the last bowl gleaming under Anubis' gaze. Your knees creak upright only to spot tomorrow's stack already waiting. The Nile keeps giving, and you'll keep scrubbing till it forgets your name. The dung shovel hits your palms before your eyes adjust, its handle slick, with something best unexamined. A priest gestures wordlessly toward mud brick tunnels, their arched entries gaping like beetle jaws. Scarab chambers, where celestial symbolism meets biological reality. You're about to become intimately acquainted with both. Egyptians revered scarabs as symbols of rebirth, the beetles, dung rolling, mimicking the sun's daily cycle. This spiritual metaphor loses charm when you're ankle deep in their leavings. The air's thick with ammonia and defeat, a nasal assault worse than mummification vats. Consider this cosmic payback for that extra 5 minutes snoozing. Your first chamber resembles a toddler's mud pie factory, if toddlers baked with digestive enzymes. Dung cakes cling to walls like deranged pottery. A hieroglyph overhead shows Khepri pushing the sun cheerful compared to your task. Experts think priests used actual scarabs in burial rites. A tidbit that doesn't help your current nasal dilemma. The scooping begins, each shovelful releasing gases preserved since Ramses II's breakfast. Your gag reflex becomes a secondary character here. Between retches, you notice dung layers, different colors for different diets. Palm fronds make earthy tones. Lentils create suspicious green streaks. Someone's been feeding temple beetles better than you. A giggle echoes from the doorway. Junior priests betting on your vomit count. You're tempted to fling a dung clod, but sacred insects. Waste is technically temple property. The laughter fades as a beetle scurries over your foot, iridescent shell glinting in torchlight. It pauses, as if judging your technique. 3 hours in, your back adopts the beetle's hunched posture. The smell has relatives now, notes of rancid honey and despair. Archaeologists found scarab amulets in King Tut's wrappings. Historians still argue whether their presence aided resurrection or just horrified modern conservators. Your manuscript isn't done even when chambers are clean. Beetles work faster than you. Fresh deposits plop audibly into scrubbed areas. One lands near your sandal with a wet splat. The cycle continues: birth, death, dung. You're just the middleman in an eternal digestive loop. Sunset brings relief and a surprise. The head priest tosses you a linen bag clinking with beetles. For tomorrow's ritual, he smirks. Their little legs scuttle against the fabric, symbols of rebirth. Now feel like pocket-sized parole officers as you trudge past moonlit granaries. A thought hits. Cleopatra reportedly used scarab dung in face masks. The beauty treatment's credibility fades with each whiff lingering in your nose. Maybe some histories deserve to stay buried. Sleep comes fitfully. Every dream smells vaguely of compost. Dawn's first light reveals a beetle perched on your window ledge. It raises one leg, the insect equivalent of a ticking clock. Your next shift starts now. The gods' eternal recycling program waits for no one. The morning sun punishes your eyes as you stagger toward the offering tables. A row of limestone slabs gleaming like bleached bones. Dates and figs already soften under raw's glare, their honeyed scents turning cloying. Temple protocol demands fresh fruits before noon prayers. Your tardiness wrote today's menu in mold. Osiris's gold leaf statue stares as you swap rotted offerings, divine side-eye carved into eternity. Farmers gifted these fruits to ensure afterlife fertility. Now they reek of mortal neglect. Archaeologists found pomegranate seeds in royal tombs, proof these rituals mattered beyond symbolism. You're not just scrubbing tables, you're risking cosmic crop failures. Sticky juice coats your arms as smashed figs surrender to your broom. The sludge resembles Pharaoh's infamous beer-bread paste, a delicacy scribes called heaven's mortar. Your sandals squelch with every step, each noise a reminder that linen robes hide nothing from giggling acolytes. A priest materializes, his censers myrrh smoke can't mask the fermentation stench. The fields require tending, he intones, pointing to baskets of wilted flax. Harvesting replaces your sacred duties, agricultural parole for timekeeping sins. The Nile's gift sprawls before you, a tyranny of irrigation ditches and buzzing flies. Real farmers glance up from their wheat, eyebrows raised at your pampered hands. Blisters bloom as you yank weeds, their roots clinging like underworld demons. Historians still argue whether harvest punishments taught humility or just supplied free labor. You side with option 3, sadistic creativity. Sweat drips onto a clay shard, half buried in soil someone's ancient grocery list, mocking your plight. Sunset transforms your back into one solid ache. The priest returns with a jar of sour wine, antiseptic, and insult. For your efforts, he says, gesturing to your limp flax bundles. Even Sobek's crocodiles would pity this haul. Moonrise finds you grinding grain for tomorrow's temple bread, the grindstone's rhythm matching your throbbing temples. A mouse scampers over your foot, undeterred by your half-hearted swipe. At least someone enjoys your failures. Sleep sneaks in as you collapse onto a reed mat. Dreams twist into chaos, sentient figs lecturing on responsibility. Osiris sighing over wheat yields. Dawn's first light reveals blistered palms and a single date pit stuck to your cheek. The offering tables gleam once more, pristine and judgmental. You place new fruits with robotic care, neck prickling under divine gazes. Somewhere, a priest notes your arrival, time stroking a ledger like a lover's cheek. Back in the fields, a scarab beetle crosses your path, its dung ball rolling smoother than your temple career. You salute the tiny janitor, wondering if Cleopatra really used fermented fruit pulp as lip stain. Beauty through decay, maybe. Egypt's true lesson hides in the rot. The temple's bread oven exhales a taunting warmth as you shuffle past, its heat licking your sunburnt neck like a judgmental cat. Your ration sits on the offering slab, a meek oval dwarfed by neighbors' loaves. Emmer wheat formed Egypt's dietary backbone. Archaeologists found desiccated loaves in workers' tombs, still intact after millennia. Yours crumbles at a glance. A baker priest drips honey over Pharaoh's personal badge, his glare sharper than the bread knife. Late again, he muses, tapping your loaf's concave center. The dent mirrors your empty stomach, a baked reprimand. Legends claim Thutmose, Ii's army marched on bread, so dense it doubled as weaponry. Yours couldn't stun a fruit fly. You retreat to the courtyard, day-old ration tucked under your arm like a shameful pet. Fellow acolytes lounge beneath date palms, their intact loaves catching golden hours glow. One tears off a hunk slowly, dramatically, letting crumbs cascade onto their lap. Historians still argue whether bread reductions were punitive or just rationing during low harvests. The growl in your gut votes for pettiness. Beneath a sycamore fig, you dissect your meal, a gamey aftertaste, hints at beer bread starter from Pharaoh's brewery. Some temple texts describe using leftover ale dregs as yeast, others imply sacred spit jump-started fermentation. Your morsel suggests both. A priest strolls past, conspicuously crunching roasted chickpeas. Their smirk lingers like hieroglyphic graffiti. The first bite sticks to your teeth, sawdust disguised with fig pulp. Desert wind carries laughter from the scriptorium, where swift-handed scribes dunk fresh bread in garlic oil. You chew harder, imagining the baker's face in the dough. Bread quotas weren't just hunger games, workers' tombs, show loaves as payment for labor. Your wages now fit in a child's fist. Dusk brings a consolation. Kitchen slaves sneak you date, paste from Pharaoh's banquet leftovers. Their pity tastes sweeter than any ration, though the baker catches you mid-bite. His parchment appears, a tally of your tardiness translated into grains. Tomorrow's loaf might require a magnifying lens. Nightfall drapes the temple in merciful coolness. You stash crumbs for dawn's hunger. Rats scratching nearby like tiny scribes recording your disgrace. A passing priestess pauses, her perfume clashing with your rancid oil lamp. They used fattening bread to plump up sacred geese, she whispers. Perhaps it works in reverse. Sleep arrives as grudgingly as temple porters. Dreams spin absurdities, Anubis weighing your heart against a feather. But the scale holds a single crumb. Dawn's gong sounds angrier today. Your new ration waits, a doughy sliver glazed with salt water. The baker hums a victory hymn. By the Nile's edge, you dunk the crust. Fish nibble it faster than you can. A crocodile drifts past, indifferent to your culinary shame. Bread taxes might birthed Egypt's first diet plan. But Ra's scorching gaze suggests no beachside linen tunics in your future. The river murmurs rumors of Cleopatra's cosmetic bread masks, a poor consolation as hunger pins your ribs together. Belly rumbling, you resume hauling water jugs. Their sloshes sink with distant kitchen laughter. Even the scarab beetles roll larger dung balls than your ration. You eye the horizon where farmers' bread clouds rise, each puff a reminder that time, and wheat waits for no one. Ra's burning gaze finally dips below the horizon. The sky bruises purple as a priest presses a bronze baton into your palm. Night honors those who disappoint the sun, he mutters, gesturing toward the obelisk's stretching shadow. You're stationed at the temple's moonlit gate, sandals damp with dew, spine pressed against a pillar, still radiating daytime heat. Egyptians divided night into 12 star-based hours, Deccan constellations rising like punctual ghosts. The Deccan Sahu glimmers first, its stars forming a hunter's belt. Yawns warp your attempts to track it. A jackal wails from the western dunes, its cry splintering into a chorus. Historians found temple manuals describing how guards chewed sour acacia leaves to stay alert, though none remain in your reed-stuffed chewing pouch. Midnight slithers in on scorpion legs. The sacred lake shimmers with false promises of coolness, its waters reserved for dawn purification rites. You count ibis nests in the palm grove 16, 17, 18, until the numbers blur. A papyrus lancing fragment mentions a guard punished for sleeping. His punishment involved singing hymns to Hathor until dawn. Your parched throat recoils at the thought. The baton grows heavier. Each heartbeat sinks with water clock drips echoing from the inner sanctum. Cold seeps through your linen shendit like a mummy's handshake. Some night guards reportedly hallucinated pharaohs, spirits pacing the walls, though your only phantom is the baker's smirk replaying behind your eyelids. A sudden splash ruptures the stillness, your sandal skids on mud brick. Peering over the lake's edge, you spot a ripple, then another. Moonlight reveals a disgruntled sacred goose paddling circles, its feathers glistening like oiled papyrus. Temple records cite geese as divine messengers. This one honks a derisive solo. Your chuckle startles a bat into frenzied flight. The sky's blackness softens to gray-washed indigo. Constellations dim. Sahu's stars now resemble a slouching scribe. Your eyelids droop until a serpentine hiss snaps them open. A cobra, no, just wind whistling through a cracked, offering hall window. A fringe papyrus titled Admonitions of an Egyptian sage claims insomnia was considered. The gods testing one's devotion through boredom. Your devotion feels thoroughly examined. First light creeps across the courtyard, pink tendrils unraveling night's shroud. Priests emerge yawning, their shadow stubble gone, wigs perfectly coiled. The head guard inspects your baton for sweat stains, frowns, grunts approval. Historians still argue whether star clocks were ceremonial or practical timekeeping tools. Your cramping calves vote ceremonial torment. As dawn rituals commence, you spot the goose again, now preening atop a shrine as if it orchestrated the sunrise. The baker's silhouette appears, holding a steaming loaf. He raises it slowly, tearing off a cloud of warm crust. Your stomach howls louder than yesterday's jackals, but the shift's over. You stumble toward the acolyte's quarters. The obelisk's new shadow points like an accusatory finger. Sleep beckons, but Ra's chariot already scorches the horizon. Somewhere, a water clock drips a metallic whisper. Tonight, we do this again. The baker's loaf vanishes as a hand clamps your shoulder. The chief priest's ring finger bears a scarab-shaped callus from decades of scroll unrolling. Your penance requires permanence, he rasps, steering you toward a clay-strewn workshop. Sunlight slants through palm frond mats, exposing 9 tablets on a limestone shelf, each etched with variations of I dishonored Ra through sluggishness. Clay stings your nostrils gritty and damp like Nile flood residue. A temple slave slaps a wet lump before you, its surface gleaming like crocodile fat. Hieroglyphs weren't for daily use. Scribes preferred faster hieratic script. But your apology demands carved formality. The priest drops a bronze stylus shaped like a serpent's tongue. Begin with humble servant of the dual king, he instructs, vanishing into a haze of iris incense. Your first stroke gouges too deep. The Ankh symbol resembles a drunk ibis. Scholars once found a scribe's trial tablet near Memphis with the plea, please, don't make me copy proverbs of Tahotep again. You sympathize. Red ink, crushed beetles mixed with vinegar pools in your errors. An apprentice snickers while mixing pigments, his chuckle cut short by a senior's glare. The stylus blisters your palm by noon, each wedge-end loop, hieroglyphic punctuation, mandated by Third Dynasty edicts, throbs like a wasp sting. You scratch out overslept using the owl glyph, its disapproving eyes mirroring the priestly overseers. One tablet cracks under frantic corrections. Historians still argue whether these carvings preserved genuine remorse or merely served as theatrical warnings. Your aching wrist votes theatrical. Dust motes swirl in your 5th hour of etching. The neb symbol squirms under trembling fingers, its basket shape now a lopsided bowl. A passing scribe mutters, lazy hands built crooked pyramids, quoting a maxim from the instruction of a menemope. Your retaliatory glare smudges a Chinese letter glyphs, sun rays. Sunset stains the workshop ochre. The chief priest returns, trailing 2 acolytes carrying alabaster lamps. He examines your 12 tablets, each more splattered than the last, and selects the least disastrous. This one shall greet visitors at the pylon gate, he declares. The chosen tablet's apology section reads, I am as reliable as a hippo on ice. Your sleep-deprived attempt at poetic humility. Lamplight reveals your shame displayed beside donation records. Passing laborers pause to squint at the glyphs. A washerman misreads diligence as donkey and chortles into his linen load. Beetle ink itches as it dries, flaking onto your shendit like burnt breadcrumbs. Temple archives mention a priest who wrote 73 apology tablets. His career ended when a sandstorm buried them in rude goat formations. You rinse red-stained fingers in a runoff jar. The water swirls pink, resembling pomegranate juice. Blisters pulse in rhythm with distant sistrum shakes from the evening ritual. The workshop's clay dust coats your tongue, gritty as dishonor, as moonlight replaces torch glow. A junior priest whispers, at least yours isn't next to the eye-overved sacred cat's tablet. His smirk fades when the chief priest's shadow engulfs the doorway. Tomorrow's task hovers like a vulture, hauling limestone for the new shrine. But tonight, as stars pierce the indigo sky, you trace your botched glyphs one last time. The owl's carved eyes glint, eternal and unimpressed. Somewhere, a beetle scuttles toward fresh ink. Your shoulders remember yesterday's clay. Today's punishment laughs at that memory. The chief priest blocks your path to the offering halls, pointing instead to a line of clay jars. The Nile blesses those who sweat, he intones. But his smirk says blessing translates to blisters. Each amphora stands hip high, its swollen belly glazed with drips from predecessors. You hoist one, the rope digs channels into your palms. Temple laborers once hauled 7,000 jars daily for Khufu's pyramid, a fact you'd find impressive if your arms weren't staging a revolt. Cobblestones bake under midday sun as you shuffle toward the sacred well. A priest marks your path with henna-dyed ropes, deviate an inch, and Sobek's crocodiles get extra supper. Wind whips sand into your eyes, but dropping the jar means scrubbing latrines with your hairbrush. Again, water sloshes with every step, cold liquid licks your calves through the porous clay. Temples stored holy water in alabaster jars. To keep it cool, your punishment uses bargain basement ceramics. A passing merchant snorts. Careful, that splash just drowned a scorpion. His donkey brays in what might be solidarity. By the 9th trip, your sandals disintegrate into reedy confetti. You trump archaeologists who found 3rd century workers' sandals near Amarna, sturdy things woven with palm fiber. Yours, a toe ring and regrets. The overseer of cisterns appears like a vulture spotting carrion. Too slow, Happy's river runs faster than your feet. Refilling at the well, you spot carvings of Hathor smiling beatifically at water bearers. If the goddess of joy watched you now, she'd be cackling into her sistrum. A junior priest accidentally bumps your jar. The splash drenches your shendit. His laughter dies when you drip onto his spotless lotus garland. Moonrise brings cooler air, and kamikaze beetles dive bombing your shoulders. The jars grow heavier, their contents sloshing like mockery. One hieroglyphic manual claims elite priests trained by carrying bull carcasses. You trade these amphorae for dead cows. In a heartbeat, dawn finds you on trip 47. Your blisters have blisters. A baker's daughter tosses you a fig. It bounces off your jar into a beggar's hand. Even charity mocks you. The overseer returns, tutting at your pace. Ramses' army marched 30 miles daily. You'd still be strapping sandals. As stars fade, you collapse by the final jar. The water's surface reflects your face, a sweat-streaked ancestor to the scribe who once bragged about his perfect jed pillars. Historians still argue whether water-bearing built piety or just hernias. The chief priest materializes, prodding your shoulder with his staff. Tomorrow, granary duty. You almost pray to Sobek for crocodile intervention. Almost. The granary dust still cakes your nostrils. As you stumble toward the dining hall, shoulders slumped like a snapped papyrus stem. But the true punishment waits at your usual table. The bench lies empty. Your friends, lotus-shaped bread baskets, conspicuously absent. You grab a clay bowl of lentil stew. Holy breadcrumbs float like miniature rafts. Temple meals typically paired barley beer with garlic-rich dishes. A fact you'd relish if your cup weren't filled with sand-gritted water. 3 tables over, your former seatmates mimic your sheepish posture. A junior baker catches your eye, then studies her bread crust like it holds the book of the dead. Even the scribe you helped cheat at Senate last week avoids your gaze. The stew tastes of ash, or is that pride? Kitchen staff forgot your honeyed dates. You chew slowly, aware of every slurp and crunch echoing across the hall. Archaeologists found lettuce buried in priestly tombs as fertility symbols. Tonight's wilted greens feel more like surrender. Laughter erupts from the spice trader's corner. Your spoon clinks too loud against the bowl. A passing server accidentally dumps rosemary into your stew. The herb was once worth its weight in silver. Now it just chokes you with sneeze-worthy irony. Moonlight filters through palm frond shutters, slicing the silence into awkward portions. You count 19 flies circling your bread, Ra's sacred insects, judging your crumb hierarchy. Historians still argue whether silent meals taught introspection or just saved cooks from spit-season stew. The baker's daughter enters with date wine for the high table. Her sandal strap snaps. She catches herself on your shoulder for half a breath, human contact. Then she flees like you're Anubis holding a leash. Your fingers trace hieratic graffiti under the table. Amenhotep snores. Normally, you'd add a punchline. Tonight, the charcoal crumbles like your social prospects. You pocket a pebble of it. Future apology letters might need flair. Dawn's first light stains the horizon. Priests begin chanting the morning hymn, their voices smooth as Nile silt. Your last bite of bread sticks in your throat. Turns out swallowing shame requires more beer than they've allotted. The morning hymn fades as a hand clamps your shoulder. The overseer's grip speaks in cracked leather creaks. The north silo, he says. His thumb points toward Ra's rising disk. You swallow a groan. Granary duty makes scrubbing beetle dung seem festive. Sun-baked mud bricks press close as you enter the courtyard. 18 steps up a steep ramp. Each one tilts your sandals into hot gravel. Silos tower like swollen pottery jars, their shadows striping the ground. Egypt's harvests fed whole cities. These very granaries stored taxes measured in Hecat. You never thought you'd become part of the math. Dust motes swarm your face as you grab a broom of palm ribs. An overseer with coal-rimmed eyes tosses a sieve at your feet. Stray kernels mock the gods. His makeup isn't vanity, it's practical. Archaeologists found coal-protected eyes from glare and kept temple mice from nibbling lashes. You sweep and sweep and sweep. The rhythm mirrors yesterday's incense grinding, left-right, scatter-gather. Husk fragments stick to your sweat like miniature shields. Someone's etched a crude hippo into the wall. Caption reads, Amenhotep's mother-in-law. Normally, you'd laugh. Today, not worth the energy. Ra climbs higher, his heat warping the courtyard stones. You angle your broom to flick pebbles at a sleeping guard miss. He startles awake. Historians still argue whether granary duty taught discipline or just saved senior priests from heat stroke. A gust dumps desert sand into your work. Perfect. Ra adds his own ration to your load. You swipe at your face. Coal smears across your wrist. Now you look like a scribe who fought a charcoal demon. The overseer returns with a jug. For one glorious moment, you think it's water. Then the scent hits rancid linseed oil for tool maintenance. Every broom, he orders. 37 palm ribs later, your hands reek like a mummifier's workshop. Lunch arrives, a lukewarm fig wrapped in reed paper. You bite into grit. Someone's resetting the divine punishment counter. Temple records show workers got 3 daily bread rations. Yours probably funds a priest's new lapis lazuli ring. Afternoon light stretches shadows into knives. You're ankle deep in sorghum husks when a shout echoes. They've found your hidden pebble collection. The overseer dumps them into a ritual bowl. For the next fool's punishment, he smirks. By dusk, your tunic's the color of cursed sand. Each step home leaves a grainy trail, Ra's glittery receipt for your failures. The night air cools your all-stiffened hands. You'd trade 10 years for a plunge in the Nile. Moonrise finds you picking husks from your hair. A junior scribe passes, eyes widen at your dishevelment. His hurried bow can't hide the smirk. Tomorrow's gossip writes itself. You flick a kernel at his retreating sandals. Miss again. Sleep comes fitfully, grit grinds between teeth and dreams. Somewhere, a mouse nibbles temple lashes. In the dark, your hands still twitch, sweeping phantom grains into Ra's unblinking gaze. The Nile's night murmurs fade as reed torches jab your eyes awake. A priest thrusts a cedar ore into your hands, its surface sticky with ritual resin. Hem-netjer duty, he snaps. You blink. Yesterday's granary. Grit still lines your sandals. Now you're steering the sun god's bark. Dawn reveals your vessel, a ceremonial skiff half rotted at the dock. Its papyrus bindings sag like loose teeth. Fun fact, pharaohs used sacred barges during Thebes festivals to renew their rule. Your version, more punish the tardy than divine spectacle. You wade into lukewarm water. The river's seasonal stink punches your nose. Stagnant pools cradle the boat, their surfaces oily with lotus pollen. The oar digs into your palm, no grip wraps, just splinters eager to meet blood. Gods forbid they use the comfy oars reserved for actual ceremonies. Rowing begins. The current died weeks ago. Now you're just pushing sludge. Each stroke sucks at the oar blade like wet bread. Historians still argue whether this chore purified souls or cleared irrigation canals for free. That faint gurgle, your dignity draining downstream. Crocodile eyes breach the surface, 3 pairs, glinting like tarnished copper. Your grip tightens. Temple scrolls claim Sobek's children avoid sacred boats. These ones never got the memo. A joke forms. Do you tip the crocodile tax collectors? You swallow it. Humor won't save you here. Hours blur into a never-ending rhythm. Left pull, right push, repeat. Blisters burst and reform. The boat creaks, a plank snaps, water seeps in, warm as urine. No one mentioned the sacred bailing, addendum to your punishment. Lunch arrives via disgustingly dry land. A priestess lobs a bread roll. It arcs over the crocodiles, plops into the muck beside you. Her laughter echoes as you fish it out. Hieratic script adorns the soggy crust. Ra's blessings. Tastes like mud and sarcasm. Sunset turns the Nile to liquid bronze. Shadows stretch the skiff's silhouette into something grander, almost regal. You almost admire it until a mosquito swarm descends. Slapping them ruins the vibe. Scholars found ancient bug-repellent ointments in burial sites. None reach your itchy arms. Lamplight glows on shore as priests begin evening rites. Your oar scrapes something soft, a half-submerged cow carcass. Its bloated belly ruptures. The stench clings like a vengeful ghost. Maybe this explains those garlic-painted oars in tomb paintings. Too late for revelations. Night falls. Stars reflect in the black water. Your oar disrupts constellations. With each labored stroke, the crocodiles linger, now just rustling reeds and wet exhales. You hum a harvest song to drown the panic. Off key, but the ibises don't judge. Dockworkers arrive at dawn. They hook your boat with poles, drag you ashore like a half-drowned kitten. Your legs buckle on solid land. The head priest inspects the oar. Resin wore off, he tuts. Another week should teach respect. You wobble toward the baths, river sludge slurping in your steps. A baker's child points and giggles. Your attempt to glare lacks conviction. Eyelids droop like wilted lettuce. Sleep awaits until the next gong rings. Somewhere, a crocodile burps. The gong's bronze tongue licks your skull raw. Another sunrise summons. You shuffle toward the west bank, bare feet kicking up dust. Today's assignment: funerals, not as a priest, but a mourner. The irony burns. Yesterday's ore blisters pulse in rhythm with your steps. A wrinkled woman hands you a sackcloth tunic, scratchier than a scribe's reed pen. Wail like your cause departing, she barks. Ancient Egyptians hired professional mourners for elite funerals. Experts think they inspired Greek tragedians. Your amateur hour begins with an onion. Yes, an onion. Rub it under your eyes, she instructs. Tears mattered more than grief. The procession starts. You're wedged between two women who could shatter glass with their screeches. Their ululations pierce the air, a sound between hawk cries and broken flutes. You attempt to practice moan. The lead mourner shoots a glare. Louder. Sobek weeps louder than that. Crocodile comparisons again. You're sensing a theme. Heat shimmers above the limestone tombs. Your onion juice tears sting worse than the sun. Historical side note: onions symbolized eternal life here. Right now, they symbolize regret. The corpse sways ahead in its gilded shrine, some treasurer who definitely never had to fake cry for tardiness. A child in the crowd points. His face is leaking. They giggle. Your tears now streak mud from yesterday's river sludge. The mourner beside you hisses. Actual hieroglyphs for embarrassment float through your mind. Historians still argue whether mourners were paid in beer or bread. You'd kill for either. The tomb's shadow swallows the procession. Torchlight flickers on burial masks, their gold leaf eyes judging your performance. Every wall scene shows ideal mourners, backs bent, hands raised in perfect anguish. Your posture, more tired donkey than dignified sorrow. Suddenly, the music. A harpist plucks a dissonant chord. Time to chant the lament of Isis. You mumble along, mangling syllables. The chief mourner pinches your arm. Emphasize, O heart weighed down by darkness. Your attempt sounds like a stepped-on cat. Post-ceremony, the critique begins. Your wails lacked resonance, scolds the onion woman. And you forgot to chew natron leaves for the rasp. Actual tips from tomb texts, serious business. You nod, sand itching your salt-crusted ankles. Someone hands you a ceramic jug. Libations. Don't spill. You pour milk offerings over statues of Anubis. His jackal snout drips white. A priest side-eyes your trembling hands. The dead prefer steady streams, he mutters. Ghosts, picky drinkers, since 2500 BCE. As you leave, a nobleman's wife offers consolation, dates coated in honey. Your enthusiasm moved me, she lies. The sweetness can't mask her smirk. You pocket 3 extras. Breakfast tomorrow. Humiliation preserves. Dusk brings respite until a sandal slaps your shoulder. The overseer looms. Morning duty extended. Turns out you're inspirational. His air quotes sting worse than onion fumes. Somewhere, a mortuary priest chuckles. You glance at the night's first stars. Tomorrow's gong already winding up its cruel throat. The moon still hangs heavy when they march you to the ink workshop, a windowless cube reeking of vinegar. Your hands shake from yesterday's libation jugs. Grind, a scribe commands, pointing to stone mortars. Inside, dried beetles piled like cursed raisins. Crushing them releases a rust-red dust, the prized Tyrian pigment for temple scrolls. Mainstream fact: Egypt's scribes typically used soot-black ink, but ritual texts demanded blood-hued warnings. Your pestle slips, chunks fly into your hair. The scribe sighs louder than a displeased ibis. Beetle shells crunch under your palms, each pop echoes in the cramped space. Someone once claimed these bugs warded off scorpions. You doubt it. A fragment stabs your thumb. Now you're bleeding and staining things. Sift twice, barks the scribe, peering at your grit-filled sieve. Historians still argue whether red ink denoted curses or royal decrees. Right now, it denotes misery. You mix the powder with river water, it curdles like spoiled milk. The head scribe inspects your bowl. His nose wrinkles. This looks like crocodile bile. Your attempt at smoothing the lumps just birthed a clay-like sludge. He rolls a papyrus strip through it. The result resembles a wounded scarab. A junior scribe mutters. Even Amit would gag. They demote you to beetle duty, scraping eggs off temple walls. The eggs cling like limestone, each requiring fingernail combat. One bursts, oozing greenish goo. Let's call this character building. By noon, your fingers stain vermilion. Servants smirk at your polka-dotted arms. The scribe tosses you a lemon wedge, rubbing it does nothing. Wear gloves tonight, he sniffs. Too bad they won't issue any. You glimpse finished scrolls drying in sunlight, crisp hieroglyphs, mocking your clumpy efforts. A priest walks by, pauses. Adequate for tax records. The insult lands. Even your ink gets bureaucratic purgatory. Sunset brings no relief. You're handed a lamp to clean mortars. Beetle bits glow eerie crimson in the oil light. The scribe lingers, watching. Tomorrow, practicing hieratic script. He smirks. With your ink, stars emerge as you scrub. Somewhere, a baker kneads dough without beetle residue. You inhale, deeply regretting it. The stench clings like a debt to mad. Tonight's dreams. probably scarlet and full of typo demons. Dawn finds you polishing ink-stained fingernails with sand, a futile effort. The head scribe materializes, lips twitching. Report to the robing chamber. Your stomach drops. This won't end well. Leopard pelts drape over cedar racks, each cloak a constellation of black spots. Mainstream fact. Sem priests wore these during mummification to channel the gods' ferocity. You're handed one reeking of myrrh and ancient sweat. The attendant vanishes. You struggle into the pelt, its weight like a living beast on your shoulders. The lining chafes your neck. No one mentions that sacred garb requires contortionist skills. A priestess sweeps in, stops mid-stride. You've inverted the divine pattern. Panic sets in. The spots should face backward. Yesterday's exhaustion made you flip it. She snaps her fingers. Junior priests swarm like vultures to a carcass. Their smothered giggles sting worse than beetle bites. You're paraded through the hall of columns, spots now properly aligned, but too late. Off-duty guards elbow each other. Behold the spotted ostrich. One hoots. Historians still argue whether leopard cloaks used real pelts or dyed donkey hide. Today, your exhibit A, the cloak itches. Every single step. Ancient texts never mention how priests avoided sneezing under these things. Your nose twitches mercilessly. A passing acolyte accidentally drops a feather near your face. You lose. Bless you, mocks the high priest, not glancing up from his scrolls. Your dignity atomizes like incense smoke. The day drags, ritual chants, ankle deep in natron salt, trailing leopard fur through sacred spaces. At sunset, you peel off the pelt, your tunic soaked through. The robe keeper tusks. Oil stains cost extra penance. You blink. Turns out leopard fat seeps through fabric when nervous. Who knew? They assign you to air out. The cloak's 2 hours, flapping them like sails under Ra's wrath. Your arms scream. A scribe strolls past, smirking. The dye's bleeding. Symbolic, no. Dinner brings no respite. You're seated near the bread ovens, heat amplifying your ode to wet leopard. Allies avert their eyes. The cloak's imprint lingers on your skin like a phantom rash. Night falls. You're scrubbing pelt linings in lotus-scented lye. The water turns murky. Somewhere, a real leopard prowls the Nile's edge, laughing at your plight. Or maybe that's just indigestion. The head priest inspects your work. Passable, he mutters, though a claw hole remains. You'll mend it tomorrow, under his unblinking stare. The cloak waits, crumpled and smug, ready for round 2. You slump against a sun-warmed wall, shoulders still screaming from yesterday's leopard-pelt debacle. A gravelly cough shatters the silence. The overseer looms, his silhouette swallowing the jagged cracks in the temple's facade. He thrusts a mud-caked trowel into your hands. Moonrise repairs, he growls. Thoth's patience wears thinner than your excuses. They shove a frayed reed basket at your chest, straw bristles poking through like accusing fingers. Mainstream fact. Ancient builders mixed Nile clay with straw to prevent bricks from cracking under Ra's relentless gaze. Your nostrils burn from the mortar's stench, a cocktail of wet earth, sour barley mash, and something suspiciously reminiscent of hippo dung. Quirky tidbit. Fragmentary texts from Karnak mention adding lapis lazuli dust for cosmic alignment. Tonight's batch just reeks of regret. Kneeling grinds your already bruised knees into the gritty sand. Moonlight transforms the brickyard into a mosaic of silver and shadow. Thoth's crescent eye monitoring every clumsy pat. The icy sludge oozes between your toes, sandals long since sacrificed to the mud gods. Remember those ink-stained fingers from scribe duty. At least that mess didn't crust under your nails for weeks. An ibis's sudden screech sends mortar flying into your hair. The overseer's sandal slaps stone like a judgment gavel. His snores soon harmonize with the distant howl of a desert fox. Historians still argue whether nocturnal labor cultivated spiritual focus or simply exhausted troublemakers into compliance. Both theories ring true when your fifth fingernail peels back. Raw-handed, you stack uneven bricks, their serrated edges drawing fresh lines of crimson. Each layer demands throat-scraping hymns to Thoth, architect of cosmic order. Your voice cracks on the verse about eternal diligence. A bat swoops low, its droppings narrowly missing your sacred construction. The overseer snores through it all. Dawn's first blush creeps across the horizon like spilled wine. The overseer staggers upright, squinting at your slanted handiwork. Passable, he grunts, smearing a palm across your least crooked row. The ibis glyph now resembles a disoriented duck. You swallow a groan. Sleep deprivation turns blasphemous thoughts into constant companions. Trudging past morning bakers, their laughter sticks to your mud-plastered back. Your bedroll whispers promises of oblivion until a brick tumbles from your repair, shattering at your feet. Thoth's moon might surrender today, but his disdain lingers in every fractured edge. The Nile's night breeze slices through your sweat-damp tunic. You heave another basket onto your hip. Straw pokes your ribs through the frayed reeds. Mainstream facts grate until your elbow deep in muck that smells like a pharaoh's neglected stable. Quirky tidbit. The Brooklyn Papyrus lists moonlit mortar mixing as punishment for granary thieves. Tonight, you're paying for 5 extra minutes of sleep. Your knees meet the sand again, a reunion as unwelcome as scorpions in a sandal. Thoth's light glints off the water clock across the courtyard. Each drip mocks your progress. Remember beetle duty blisters. At least those didn't freeze your fingers numb. A centipede scuttles over your wrist. You fling it away, mortar splattering a nearby sphinx statue. The overseer snorts awake. Defacing guardians now, he barks. You stammer apologies. He huffs, resuming his symphony of snores. The centipede, smarter than you, flees the scene. By the 3rd hour, your spine feels like a snapped papyrus scroll. Bricks pile higher, each one a monument to your ineptitude. You imagine the original builders. Did they sing as they worked? Or curse the architects? Their ghosts offer no advice, just the wind's whispered taunts. A sudden splash echoes from the river. You spin too fast. The world tilts. Mortar sloshes down your leg. The overseer's eyelids flutter. You freeze. He mutters something about lazy priests and resumes snoring. The heron responsible for the noise eyes you disdainfully before taking flight. When roosters herald Ra's return, your eyelids weigh more than pyramid stones. The overseer stamps a mudded foot near your final brick. Return tomorrow, he commands. Thoth appreciates endurance. You bite your tongue. Endurance. You trade 10 years for one uninterrupted nap. Daylight reveals your walls' precarious lean. Priests stride past, robes swishing. Their sidelong glances etch new lines of shame. The head priest pauses, lips quirking. Thoth's wisdom manifests. Unpredictably, he muses. You stare at your blistered hands. Wisdom feels indistinguishable from suffering tonight, collapsing onto your palate. You envision future acolytes stumbling over your crumbling repairs. Will they laugh? Or recognize the desperation in every uneven brick? Sleep claims you before the answer comes, dragging you into dreams of endless, moonlit mud. The next night, the overseer's cough finds you again. The ibis glyphs gleam. You kneel, trowel in hand, wondering, do gods ever tire of petty punishments? The mortar, predictably, offers no divine insight, just the cold squelch of another sleepless hour under Thoth's watchful eye. You wipe sweat from your brow. Mud streaks your forehead like war paint. Moonlight turns the temple's edges liquid. Each brick trembles in your grip. The overseer's snores deepen. You envy his obliviousness. A gust scatters straw across your workspace. You crawl after it, palms prickling. Nostalgia grips you. Leopard-pelts itch, beetle dung's stench. All roads here lead back to humiliation. Hours blur. Mortar hardens faster than you can spread it. Frustration boils. You imagine launching the trowel into the Nile. Crocodiles would likely toss it back. Your mind drifts to scribe chambers, warm lamplight, soft papyrus. Even smudged hieroglyphs seem luxurious now. Here, mistakes crumble into dust. The overseer jolts awake, snorting. He prods your latest row. Thinner layers, he grumbles. You nod, throat raw. Rebuilding tastes like ash. Midnight's chill seeps into your bones. You shiver near the dying torch. Flames cast monstrous shadows, leopards, beetles, past failures made tangible. You turn away. Dawn returns relief and condemnation. Priests chant, their voices smooth against your rasp. The final brick smeared, hands numb. The overseer shrugs. Same time tomorrow. You stumble past the kitchen. Steam mocks your chill. A novice offers water. Their pity stings. Your throat forgives them. Sleep comes fitfully. Dreams of mud, crumbling walls, Thoth's laughing ibis. You wake exhausted, dread coiled tight. The cycle continues. Days blend. The wall grows a crooked scar. Labor feels futile, yet you persist. What choice exists under divine decree? One moonless night, a sandstorm rages, wind blinds you. The overseer flees. You kneel in the tempest, mud and tears mingling. Thoth's stars vanish. His judgment remains. The storm passes. Your wall stands miraculously intact. The overseer grunts approval. Priests murmur. Respect hinted. You feel none, just the ache of survival. Finally, release. Thoth's satisfied, the overseer says. You nearly laugh. Satisfaction's foreign here. Returning to your pallet, you collapse, too weary to dream. The temple stands for now. You drag yourself from the pallet, sand still clinging to eyelashes from last night's desert storm. A crisp slap against stone makes you flinch. The linen mistress stands silhouetted in dawn's haze, her measuring rod tapping an insistent rhythm against a towering stack of robes. Fourth misfold this week, she intones. The gods favor precise geometry, not your child's scribbles. They thrust a heap of fabric into your arms, stiff linen crunching like dried reeds. Mainstream fact, temple robes required 42 pleats to mirror the sacred number of upper and lower Egypt's gnomes. Your trembling fingers betray you. The first fold bunches like a Nile carp's gills. Quirky tidbit, a Memphis priest's diary once complained about linen so starched it could slice bread. Yours feels sharp enough to defy gravity. Midday heat turns the folding chamber into a kiln. Sweat pools between your shoulder blades, each droplet threatening the precision you've clawed toward. You glance sideways at the acolyte beside you. Her pleats gleam like sunlit ripples. Yours resemble a drunk scribe's zigzags. Remember hauling limestone blocks. At least those didn't unravel if you sneezed. The linen mistress materializes, her shadow cooling your neck. She pokes your latest atrocity with her rod. This pleat Anger's Hather, she declares. Historians still argue whether temple folds held mystical meaning or just catered to priestly vanity. Right now, you're banking on vanity. You start again. Fingernails snag threads as you count aloud. Tijenu, Kentet, Adif. The mistress slams her rod down. Silence. Arithmetic is for scribes. Muscle memory should honor the gods. Your muscles, unfortunately, honor last night's brick hauling more. Sunset stains linen, stacks amber. A novice offers barley water. You gulp it, leaving clay dust fingerprints on the cup. The mistress tusks, defiling temple vessels now. She banishes you to refold the entire storage niche. 300 robes wink mockingly from shadowed shelves. Twilight brings cooler air and beetles. A scarab scuttles across your ninth attempt. You freeze mid-tuck. Crushing it would stain the fabric, another violation. Gently, gently, the beetle flies off, leaving your pleats slightly less disastrous. A hollow victory. Midnight oil lamps spit acrid smoke. Your eyes burn. The 13th robe's hem rips, a sound like papyrus shredding. Panic surges. Did Anubis himself curse your hands? You cobble a repair, hiding the tear beneath a decorative overlap, the mistress will notice. She always does. Dawn's first light reveals your crime. Her silence terrifies more than any tirade. She simply points to the ritual basins. You plunge the robe into icy water, linen hardening like Pharaoh's armor. Red dressing, it feels like wrestling a crocodile. By noon, your fingertips bleed. Crimson blooms on a collar's edge. The mistress exhales like a deflating wineskin. "Replace it," she says, "and burn the stain." You stare at the blemish. Centuries from now, will some scholar ponder this mystical blood offering? Unlikely. You haul the ruined linen to the courtyard furnace. Flames devour your failure with obscene glee. A passing baker nods knowingly. Third robe this month. Gossip will spread faster than a desert wildfire. The next stack awaits, a snowdrift of judgment. Your spine creaks as you kneel. The mistress's sandals click away. For one glorious moment, solitude reigns, then a breeze topples your folded tower. The gods, it seems, enjoy slapstick. You lose count of attempts. 30, 60. Each pleat blurs into the next. The chamber spins. Is that Thoth's laughter echoing, or just your exhaustion? A novice offers help, you wave them off. Suffering loves company, but shame travels solo. Moonrise finds you slumped over a half-folded sash. The mistress's rod prods your ribs. "Finished?" she asks. You gesture weakly at the creation. Her nostrils flare. "Innovative," she deadpans. "If the afterlife needs crumpled burial shrouds." She snatches the sash, unraveling hours of labor with one yank. Begin anew. Your choked protest dies at her raised palm. Perfection or darkness? You eye the window slit. Could a linen rope hold your weight? Probably not. The 20th attempt finally meets her grunt of approval. She marches off, your masterpiece in hand. You sag against a pillar, inhaling dust and defeat. The robe graces a statue of Sekhmet, goddess of retribution. Poetic justice hangs heavier than starched linen. Trudging to the dormitory, you pass priests in flawless attire. Their hems whisper against stone, mocking your bandaged fingers. Sleep offers no refuge. Dreams plague you with self-folding robes that strangle. Next morning, fresh stacks await. The mistress arches a brow. Well, her rod taps. You reach for linen stiff, unyielding, eternal. Somewhere, a scribe pens your misery as divine character building. You'd build him a character right into the Nile. Your palms still ache from yesterday's linen warfare, bandages peeking beneath cuffs like faulty mummy wrappings. A horn blares from the offering hall. Too late, you realize it's the honey procession call. Sprinting across sun-baked courtyards, you skid into the storeroom and freeze. Golden rivulets ooze across the floor, amphory shattered, their sticky cargo pooling around your sandals. Bees materialize first, a low drone building to siege engine volume. One zips past your ear, then 10. Then a living storm. Mainstream fact. Temple honey wasn't just sweetener. Priests used it to anoint statues, believing its immortality-linked properties pleased the gods. Too bad nobody mentioned that to the bees. A figure ducks behind a pillar, junior scribe Nenny, clutching a reed brush like a sword. Your shift started 3-star movements ago, he hisses. Historians still argue whether temples kept bees deliberately or just exploited wild hives. Right now, you're collateral damage in an interspecies heist. You grab a date palm basket to shield your face. Bad move. Bees seethe under its weave, their buzz vibrates your teeth. A sting pricks your wrist, then your neck, your ankle. Quirky tidbit, a medical papyrus prescribes mashed garlic and Nile mud for stings. You'd trade your sandals for either. The high priest's bellow cuts through the swarm. Secure the sanctum. Priests slam shutters, trapping you inside with the chaos. Bees ricochet off walls. Honey seeps between your toes. Nenny whimpers. This isn't punctuality punishment anymore. It's divine slapstick. You spot the remedy jar on a shelf, labeled with Bess's grinning face. Scooping sticky unguent, you smear it everywhere. Bees recoil the scent. Rancid. Turns out sacred anti-swarm salve is just fermented fish oil. Bees hate it. So do you. Nenny gags. That's for mummification rites. Want my next ointment to be your embalming resin. Working fast, you toss oil-soaked rags into corners. Bees retreat upward, a buzzing ceiling mosaic. Footsteps thunder outside. The high priest's voice booms. Why is Thoth's statue coated in beeswax? Nenny whispers, we're dead. Worse, we're late. The shutters burst open. Priests recoil at the fish oil reek. The high priest's glare could curdle milk. You, he says, pointing at you. The hives. Everyone pities apiary duty, stings guaranteed, bribes ineffective. But post-heist hive repair. New circle of Jewett. They march you to the rooftop apiary. Bees writhe in chaotic clouds, their usual clay cylinders smashed by falling amphora shards. A drone lands on your nose. You cross your eyes at it. We're both victims here. The high priest hands you a smoker, a bronze cup glowing with dung embers. Pacify them, rebuild the hives, and clean that honey. His sandals clack away. Nenny escapes with a nervous wave. Traitor, smoke curls into the swarm. Bees slow, drunken constellations, lazily orbiting your head. You salvage intact hive fragments, hands trembling. One wrong move, and yep, a sting blooms on your thumb. 5 more follow in solidarity, and night falls. Oil lamps attract surviving bees. They kamikaze dive the flames. You dribble honey onto reed clusters, luring them into new hives. A guard yells up. Done yet. Almost. Crocodile at the docks. What? Not your problem. You stare at the hives. Workers already festoon comb onto fresh clay. Efficient little monsters, memories surface of Pharaoh's beekeeper bragging that hives symbolized the god's tears. Right now, they're all demon spit. Dawn finds you scrubbing congealed honey from shrine steps. Each swipe awakens fresh stings. Passing priests ostentatiously don't stare. The baker, your linen-folding gossip nemesis, pauses. Heard you angered the royal apiary. You flick honey globs at his feet. Tell the next shift they'll find my body in a storage jar. He chuckles. Third honey incident this flood season. At least failure's consistent. Returning the smoker. You pass Nenny chiseling hive damage reports. He mouths thank you. You mouth rot in the jewet. The high priest intercepted your glare. Wan to revisit the linen chambers. You don't. Bees were kinder. The linen threat hangs like temple incense, cloying and inescapable. You're handed a copper chisel instead. False door duty. Of course, tomb artisans chisel ancestral portals for noble spirits, stone pathways to the afterlife. Your job, copying sacred patterns without mistakes. Historians still argue whether false doors actually functioned or just comforted grieving families. Right now, function feels like a fantasy. Limestone dust cakes your nostrils. Each mallet strike sends vibrations up your arm. Blisters from honey duty rupture again. The overseer, a man with vulture-like patience, circles your workstation. His shadow stretches across your carving. Third pillar's lotus petals, asymmetrical. You squint. The hieroglyphs blur. Patron gods appreciate creativity. He taps his measuring cord. Try that during your afterlife audition. Starting over means hours lost and ego trampled. Your predecessor's chisel marks mock you from the slab. Quirky tidbit. Workers sometimes hid self-portraits as door demons, tiny acts of rebellion. You etch a grumpy baboon in the border. Let posterity wonder. Sunlight slants through the workshop. Apprentices snicker at your fifth attempt. One whispers, "He's worse than the Greek carvers." They're not wrong. Your false door resembles a child's tablet scribbles. The overseer returns. Silence falls. He traces your chisel lines. The jed pillar here needs to symbolize stability. I know. It's tilting like a drunken scribe. Grinding your teeth, you start anew. Copper tools dull fast, each strike now a battle. A bead of sweat plinks onto the stone. Mainstream fact. Artisans received beer rations to cool the heart during labor. You trade your ration for a miracle. The vulture man sighs. Shift, end, return at dawn. Your hands shake too badly to argue. Passing the real craftsmen, you glimpse their progress, sleek doorways fit for pharaohs. Yours, a future anecdote. At least mine has a pet baboon, you mutter. Night brings no rest. Dreams replay mallet swings. Your bandaged palms itch. Dawn's first light finds you back at the slab. The overseer inspects your reset lines. Better. Relief floods you until he adds, "Now polish the entire surface. No pockmarks. Limestone grit coats your tongue." The baboon grins, his chiseled eyes judging. You whisper, "Warned you about this gig." By sunset, your false door gleams if you squint. The overseer nods once. It's enough until tomorrow's chapel fiasco. The chapel's fragrance hits first, sour wine and crushed lotus blossoms. Your punishment. Playing sommelier to cranky nobles who knew divinity required so much pouring. A line of guests snakes toward you, gold collars glinting, brows already furrowed. Your amphora holds the dregs, vinegar masquerading as Osiris tears. Mainstream fact: Nile vineyards produced both sweet and tart wines, though this batch tastes like fermented regret. You splash ruby liquid into a goblet. The noble sniffs, winces, gulps anyway. Is this intentional? He croaks. You smile tightly, a tribute to Sekhmet's fiery breath, my lord. Quirky tidbit: some temple texts mention sour wine as offerings to underworld judges, a cosmic palate cleanser. You're less convinced. The next guest gags theatrically. Appliqued linens do little to muffle her coughs. Another demands a scribe, slamming his cup. His pupils waver either devotion or early-stage alcohol poisoning. Historians still argue whether temple attendants spiked punishments with herbs, or if the grapes just sucked. Right now, you're betting on divine spite. Your arm cramps from tilting the jar. At least the overseer's enjoying this, perched on a limestone bench, dates in hand. Each grimace from the crowd widens his grin. You fantasize about accidentally drenching his robe. A priestess approaches, kohl-lined, eyes narrowing. This isn't the Amenhotep blend. Blessedly not, you pour. Her nose wrinkles. Tastes like ibis bile. Funny, they said the same about my hieroglyphs. She stifles a laugh. Progress. Until the overseer barks, stop charming and start serving. Sunlight filters through alabaster windows. Guests dwindle. Your amphora empties, mostly onto the floor. Sticky patches cling to your sandals. The last straggler, a tipsy astronomer, leans close. They're testing your humility, lad. Or my gag reflex. He hiccups. Same thing under Thoth's gaze. Dusk brings relief. And a new horror. Cleaning dregs from 74 cups. Scratch that, 75. The overseer adds his own chalice, crusted with sediment, for thoroughness. You scrape resinous sludge into a bucket. The smell could wake a mummy. Across the hall, junior priests giggle, their hands pristine, their wine surely sweeter. One mimics choking. You consider hurling a grape at his head. Later, aching and reeking, you collapse onto your palate. Vinegar vapors haunt your nostrils. Even dreams turn acidic. Giant grapes pelting you. Overseer cackling from a wine-dark sky. Dawn's early glow reveals a fresh amphora by your door. The label mocks in ochre ink. Batch Sekhmet's wrath. Enjoy, you sigh. At least the ibises seem sympathetic. They've tipped over the jar, pecking at spilled residue. Smart birds, you murmur. Stick to grain. The chapel beckons. Guests assemble. You heft the vessel. Another day, another vintage. Your sandals squelch across sun-warmed stone, the wine incident's sticky aftermath still clinging. Today's assignment, feeding the temple's sacred cats. You eye the basket of Nile perch. Their glassy stares mirror your dread. Mainstream fact. Ancient Egypt worshipped felines as Bastid's incarnations. Harming one meant execution, though right now, you're more worried about them harming you. A tabby winds between your legs, purring like a misbehaving thunderstorm. You freeze, move too fast, and those claws emerge. The head priestess gestures to the feeding ledge. They expect elegance, not your usual enthusiasm. You uncork the fish jar. The stench hits fermented river and salt. Historians still argue whether temple cats ate gourmet cuts or just priestly leftovers. This batch suggests the latter. You ladle glistening chunks onto a silver plate. The tabby sniffs, flicks its tail, considers you. A feast, you announce. It bats a fish head onto the floor. Quirky tidbit. Some mummified cats wore jeweled collars. This one seems content with disdain. You kneel, retrieving the slippery morsel. A calico leaps onto the ledge, tail twitching. Rotate the plate, the priestess mouthed earlier. Cats prefer directionality. You spin the dish clockwise, like Ra's journey. The calico pounces. Claws graze your thumb. 4 red lines bloom. Gratitude noted, you mutter. Blood beads mix with fish oil. Barking a laugh risks scaring them, or summoning the overseer. By the 5th cat, you've perfected the stoop and retreat shuffle. A black tom drags its meal behind a pillar territorial, like that baker who hoarded honey cakes last flood season. You wipe your hands on your apron. Big mistake. Now you smell like a dockside hall. Dozens more eyes gleam from shadowed alcoves. You're down to mackerel spines and resentment. The youngest priest tosses you a fresh jar. It slips, shatters. Fish guts spray. Silence. Then pause. So many paws. A furry deluge descends. Your elbow deep in purring chaos, dodging swipes. Someone's tail whips your face. The priestess materializes, clapping sharply. The cats freeze. So do you. Apologies, you croak, though the rules never covered feline ambushes. They mirror your energy, she chides. Approach like a mouse, become prey. You exhale, square your shoulders. Grab the next platter. No cowering, no frantic darting. The tabby's ears prick forward. You set down the food, slow, deliberate, and retreat without breaking eye contact. Its blink feels like a truce. By sunset, your arms resemble a scribble of scarlet threads. The priestess nods at your wounds, Bastard's blessings. You'd prefer bandages. Dinner brings stew and a saucer of cream at your stool. The tabby licks its paw beside you. Historians still argue whether temple cats roamed freely or had designated napping shrines. This one's claiming your footrest. You sip bitter beer, trying to ignore the throbbing cuts. Across the hall, a novice giggles at your shredded sleeves. Laugh louder, you suggest. The leopards need feeding tomorrow. His smile dies. Later, you slump onto your pallet. The tabby curls at your feet, warm, rumbling, faintly fishy. Maybe tomorrow's scratches will form a hieroglyphic message. Slow down, perhaps. Or better fish, fewer grouchy servants. Moonlight stripes the courtyard. Somewhere, a cat yowls. You drift off imagining their verdict, human adequate. For now, your throbbing cat scratches protest as you knot palm fronds, Festival garlands demand fingerwork. The head florist inspects your first attempt. A child could braid straighter. You glance around. No children present, just irritable priests and wilting lilies. An overseer barks orders. Mainstream fact: pharaohs declared lotus blossoms mandatory for renewal festivals. Your pile, mostly castor, leaves stolen from the medicine stash during yesterday's chaos. The florist sniffs a dubious sprig. This won't summon Isis. You resist pointing out that Isis probably cares more about punctuality than foliage. Rush hour in the courtyard. Novices hauling fig branches. Apprentices arguing over ibis feather placements. Your task: drape the main altar. The florist demonstrates the correct method: swift loops, even spacing. Yours droop like a drunkard's necklace. A passing scribe chuckles. Symmetry's a myth, a quirky tidbit. Some temple murals show dancers wearing garlic bulb garlands, likely artistic license. You're stuck with papyrus rosettes that crumble when touched. The florist sighs, your 10th rebuke this morning. Start over and breathe through your nose this time. Historians still argue whether festival decor held hidden protests against priestly elites. As you rehang garlands, you consider weaving in a sly caricature of the head florist. Her hawkish frown would translate well in palm fiber. Noon sun bakes the limestone. Sweat blurs your vision as you climb the offering table. The garland sags, left side 2 fingers lower than the right. A junior priestess tusks, like Hather's wig after a banquet. Your retort dies as the florist returns with more supplies. Wilted chrysanthemums and reed string that snaps if glared at. You wrestle a stubborn vine into submission. It retaliates by unraveling. A priest nudges past, balancing pomegranates. Try singing to them. Calms the fibers. What key do reeds prefer? He doesn't answer. By sundown, your altar resembles a plucked ibis, bald patches and all. The florist orders a final inspection. Her sandals click closer. You brace for scolding silence. Then a begrudging nod. Adequate for dawn rites anyway. You don't celebrate. Tomorrow's first light will reveal every flaw: crooked knots, brown-edged petals. Let the perfectionists cluck. Let the garlands sag. Festival goers will be too busy eating honey-drenched dates to notice, probably. Bonus torment. You're assigned to clean dried glue from the florist's stool. Kneeling, you spot a chiseled hieroglyph under its leg, a tiny sketched rat devouring a flower, someone's ancient critique of decor standards. You smirk. Even the furniture mocks this place. As stars emerge, you collapse onto your pallet. Blisters pulse in rhythm with the courtyard's leftover chaos. Through an open window, moonlight silhouettes your lopsided garlands. They almost look intentional, a tribute to asymmetry. Almost. The tabby cat saunters in, scales your shelf, and bats a papyrus rosette to the floor. It stares at you, tail flicking. Message received. Your art's as graceful as a donkey in a kiln. You fling a reed at it, miss by a cubit. The cat yawns, settles on your spare tunic, and begins grooming. Tomorrow's crisis awaits. Incense duty with a priest who counts every breath. But tonight, let the garlands droop. Let the critics rasp. Sleep comes as you imagine the florist's horror finding that hidden rat carving. A petty victory, but yours. The sting of honeybee welts fades as you kneel before the oracle's obsidian podium. A misstep with yesterday's garlands earned this honor. 3 priestesses encircle you, their kohl-rimmed eyes unblinking. Mainstream fact: temples used oracular trances to resolve disputes and publicly shame slackers. Thick myrrh smoke burns your throat. One priestess inhales deeply, her pupils swelling like ink blots. A voice drowns in sand. She croons, fingers clawing at her beaded collar. What creature flees its own shadow? You hesitate. Wrong answers mean triple guard shifts. A desert fox at midday. The priestess convulses, chuckling through gritted teeth. You are the fool chasing nothing. Gasps ripple through the watching novices. Your ears burn. Quirky tidbit: some temple scrolls claim priestesses chewed narcotic acacia pods to enhance prophecies. The one glaring at you definitely nibbled something fermented. Second query, barks the head priestess. Her associate sways, incense ash snowing onto your knees. Why does the scarab roll dung uphill? 2. Honor Ra's daily journey. Lazy metaphor. Her screech echoes off painted stars overhead. You'd give Ra food for flies. Novices muffle giggles. Historians still argue whether these sessions revealed divine truths or just creative bullying. The third priestess presses a cold lapis lazuli tablet to your forehead. Final challenge: what dies when named, yet breathes in silence? Your mind races. Skip a meal, forgotten gods. The head priestess taps her foot, a sandal adorned with miniature whips. You blurt, a secret, silence. Then, snorting, all 3 priestesses collapse into wheezing laughter. The head one wipes her eyes, an apt description of your career prospects. The verdict: nightly purification, rites for 19 days, scrubbing lector priest sandals, while reciting self-reproach hymns. Bonus humiliation: they make you carry the oracle's mirror, a polished bronze disc reflecting your flushed face, back to your quarters. Passing scribes quip: see any wisdom in there yet? You consider, accidentally, dropping it down a well. Moonlight filters through your cell's high window as you scrape dried natron off a sandal. The mirror mocks you from the corner. You tilt it, catching starlight, a childish attempt at divination. The distorted reflection shows your same exhausted frown. No hidden messages. No sudden enlightenment. Just you, a crusty brush, and the lingering stench of priestly feet. Somewhere, a novice practices the lute badly. Each plucked string mirrors your frazzled nerves. You mutter the hymn's opening lines. O Thoth, whose wisdom outshines fools, a cockroach scuttles over the verses, pausing as if critiquing your meter. Dawn approaches. Your raw knuckles stain the hymn scroll with unintended blood offerings. The mirror catches first light, blinding you momentarily. When vision returns, you notice faint engraving along its rim. To perceive truth, first swallow pride, too sleep-deprived for profundity. You pocket the advice with yesterday's lint. Sandal duty resumes at noon. Maybe today's penitent will fare better with the oracle's riddles. Doubtful. But hey, at least you've pioneered creative wrong answers. Future generations might cite your failure as a cautionary tale. Silver linings, or whatever reflects them. Your raw hands tremble as you grind malachite against a sandstone slab. Green dust clouds your nostrils like bitter pollen. Scribes demanded fine powder for sacred texts. Your version resembles gritty beach sand. Mainstream fact: priests used mineral pigments turquoise for protection spells, ochre for love charms. Your badge: the color of muddy lettuce. A junior artist snatches your bowl. His eyeballs practically roll into hieroglyphics. This'll clog my brush worse than a hippo's pores. He thrusts a papyrus scrap at you. Copy this prayer to Thoth perfectly. The reed pen feels alien, your fingers still cramp from sandal scrubbing. First stroke, a wobbly ibis head. 10th stroke, the bird resembles a drunken vulture. Quirky tidbit: carbon tests reveal some sacred scrolls contain doodles of grumpy pharaohs with animal ears. Your vandalism would fit right in by Sobek's sweaty scales. The artist waves your masterpiece like a crime scroll. Is this hieratic script or chicken scratches? Nearby illustrators smirk, their own pigments safely quarantined from your chaos. Historians still argue whether temple art schools expelled the inept or just assigned them permanent glue mixing duty. Banished to the courtyard, well again, you heave water jars taller than your self-esteem. Each slosh mocks you, clumsy, clumsy, clumsy. Remember the oracle's mirror. Its swallow pride advice now seems less metaphorical. A passing priest tosses his empty cup at your feet. Make yourself useful, Twilight finds you back at the pigment station. Sweat turning malachite streaks into swampy body paint. The head scribe pauses, squinting at your lurid green fingers. Ever consider not destroying our supplies? His smirk suggests a rhetorical question. You're spared further roasting by a commotion downstairs. Someone botched a mummy label. The scribes stampede like ibises chasing breadcrumbs. Alone, you eye the sacred ink jars. Temptation whispers, mix all colors, create something glorious. The resulting purple ooze earns you a one-way trip to the ibis sanctuary, where the birds eye you like a walking insult to Thoth. Mainstream fact: these sacred waders symbolized wisdom until you're dodging their dagger beaks in a swampy courtyard. Your task: pluck molted feathers for scribes' quills without getting perforated. You tiptoe past nests of twigs and broken dignity. Ibises hiss like upset tea kettles. Their oil-slick feathers gleam in the heat, each one a potential writing tool, if you survive the harvest. A priest tosses you reed gloves thinner than onion skin. Thoth favors the bleeding, he deadpans. First feather, you spot a pristine one near a mud puddle. The ibis guarding it lunges, its neck whiplashes, faster than a chariot wheel. Your sandal squelches in retreat. Quirky tidbit, mummified ibises CT scanned in 2012 showed undigested corn kernels in their guts, temple snacks, or theft evidence. You're leaning toward felony bird crimes. 3 feathers collected, 17 peck wounds incurred. Your robe's hem flaps like a surrender flag. Historians still argue whether scribes preferred right-wing feathers for love spells, left for curses. You're just glad wings don't have political affiliations. A juvenile ibis limps toward you, missing 2 toes, but not attitude. It snatches your glove, launching a tug-of-war witnessed by 70 judgmental fowl. The crowd's guttural clucks sound suspiciously like laughter. You're half tempted to whisper gossip about the chief priest's wig, but dignity's scraps still cling to you. By dusk, your basket holds 12 feathers, and your dignity holds 0. The sanctuary keeper inspects your haul, his nose wrinkles at the bent quills. These ray fit for tax records, not prayers. He dumps them into a reject's urn, already overflowing with avian mediocrity. You trudge back, featherless and faithless. The ibis's victorious screeches chasing you past murals of Thoth, looking mildly disappointed. Your robe's frayed edge now matches your life's unraveling tapestry. Tomorrow's task, rewriting bakery inventories with a chicken feather quill. Your palms sting from yesterday's feather fiasco. Now they shove a chipped clay jar into your arms. The gods crave savory offerings, a priest growls, gesturing to a mountain of Nile perch. Your new purgatory, the temple's salt-curring chambers. The air bites your throat sharp and briny. Your elbow deep in salt, crushed finer than a pharaoh's dandruff. Mainstream fact. This isn't table salt, it's natron from distant valleys, hauled here by donkey caravans. Each grain holds the power to mummify fish or ruin your lunch. A slab of meat slides toward you, its sticky sheen glinting under oil lamps. The overseer barks ratios, 1 handful per limb, 3 for the torso. You count under your breath, 19, 20, 21. His sandal slaps stone. Countings for scribes, salt like you mean it. Your third haunch gets a double dose, fingers cramping, sweat dripping into the cure. Quirky tidbit. Herodotus wrote about salted quail stuffed with figs, but your dinner's just a leathery strip tasting of regret. You suspect the historian never worked pantry duty. Days blur into scooping and scraping. Salt crusts your sandals. Each step crackles like walking on papyrus. The priest tests your work by licking a haunch. His frown deepens. This could preserve a hippo till the next flood. Start over. Night brings no relief. Your rationed bread tastes like the air here, blandness tinged with despair. Historians still argue whether temple salt doubled as currency, but you'd trade a barrel for 1 date-sweetened bite. The final insult. You're reward meals, the oversalted rejects. Chewing feels like gnawing on Ra's sunboat. Even your dreams taste monotone. Across the courtyard, ibises squawk. You'd rather face their beaks again, anything but this endless white desert. By week's end, your fingertips puckered like dried apricots. The priest inspects your last batch, sniffs, then nods. Adequate. His praise lands as flat as your ruined dinners. You shuffle out, leaving salt ghost handprints on every doorframe. Sleep taunts you, visions of date cakes dissolving into salt piles. Tomorrow's dawn brings something worse, surely. But tonight, you'll sip watered beer and spit grit. The taste lingers like failure, with a hint of natron. The moon's silver light taunts you through high windows, its glow useless against the inky blackness swallowing the hall. A bronze censer lands in your still raw hands, its chains bite into salt-cracked palms. 20 braziers before the hour, hisses a priest. Amit hungers for slackers. Stone walls press closer. With each step your sandals whisper against cold tiles. Mainstream fact. Temples burned Kai-Fi incense, nightly myrrh, and honey charring into sacred smoke. Your nostrils flare at the memory. But tonight's blend stings sharper, fouler. First brazier, a crouched ibis statue with embers smoldering in its bowl. You coax flame from a reed torch, ashes scatter like fleeing spirits. The spark catches, pain licks your thumb. 18 words left unspoken, a curse swallowed with temple discipline. Shadows dance as you walk, their shapes loom as jackal-headed judges. Second station, a lotus-shaped copper bowl. Your torch gutters, panic surges. Historians still argue whether midnight rites warded off chaos or just sleep-deprived novices. 3 braziers in your eyes adjust to the void. Quirky tidbit. Some recipes added ground murex shells, their phosphorus glow mimicking starfire. Tonight's mix definitely includes blisters. Your fingertips throb in sync with distant drums. A draft kills your torch at the 6th station. You fumble with flint, steel kisses stone. Sparks die faster than hope. The 7th attempt flares, revealing a wall carving of Sekhmet smirking. Embers pop, you jerk back, censer swinging wildly. Chains clang like mocking sistrums. 9 braziers done, 11 to go. Sweat trickles where salt once crusted, your tunic clings like a jealous ghost. The 20th bowl waits by Osiris's shrine. Your last reed splutters, one desperate breath revives it. Smoke coils upward, forming a crooked ankh. Approval or accident? The gods aren't saying. Dawn stains the horizon as you exit, hands trembling, eyes scorched dry. A passing acolyte mutters, tomorrow's task, oil lamps. You almost laugh. Almost. The shadowed corridors already whisper your name louder than any priest. Your blistered hands now smooth papyrus, centuries compressing into ink-stained lessons. He who arrives, as the Nile floods eats first, scribbles a Roman scholar copying your shame. Or was it your successors? Time blurs like desert mirages. Mainstream fact. Pharaohs paid workers in beer 3 daily jars for timely pyramid labor. You smirk your temple wages were just avoiding crocodile dung duty. Modern offices have fewer teeth, mostly. Clay tablets evolve into phone reminders, yet deadline dread remains eerily familiar. That pit in your stomach when Ra's shadow grew too long, now called Sunday scaries. Some things transcend millennia. Quirky tidbit. A 1920s archaeologist claimed hieroglyphs held the first to-do lists, including appease Bastet before lunch. Colleagues mocked him until his cat accidentally locked them in a tomb. You glimpse your legacy in words spat by caffeine-fueled bosses. Procrastination insults the divine. Historians still argue whether time obsession birthed civilization or just sleep deprivation. Either way, your ghost feels vindicated. Office drones grumble about TPS reports you'd kill for paperwork over beetle scrubbing. At least staplers don't bite. Mostly. The AC hums where Nile wines once held progress. Debatable, that intern sneaking in late. They're hauling metaphorical limestone, covering for errors, brewing bitter coffee. You whisper through ages, check the water clock next time. They shiver, blaming the vent. Ancient star charts birthed Google Calendar, moon phases swapped for meeting reminders. The gods upgraded omnipresent, pixelated, demanding blood sacrifices of ASAP and urgent. Your sandal prints linger in cubicle carpets. You haunt productivity blogs. Their life hacks reek of silt-washing logic. 7-step morning routines. Please, try pre-dawn offerings with a hangover. Millennia pass. Human nature stalls like a stuck sundial. One final joke echoes through LinkedIn platitudes. The early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. Balance, child. Even Amit needs nap time. The gears grind onward eternal, exacting, exhausting. Your calloused hands trace faded ink, the weight of centuries, now a whisper-thin veil. Temples crumble, but the worry etched into clay feels startlingly close. Breathe. Those long-dead taskmasters can't chase you here. Scholars still debate whether beer wages fueled the pyramids or just fermented complaints. Either way, your ghost sips chamomile now. Let them quarrel. Deadlines once etched in stone now blink relentlessly on screens. Yet that fluttering beneath your ribs hasn't changed. Funny how dread outlives empires. The 1920s scholar's to-do list theory. His critics learned humility eventually. Cats guard secrets well. Remember that when your alarm screeches tomorrow. Modern bosses preach efficiency, their jargon no wiser than priestly chants. You smile. Rest. Perfection crumbles faster than sandstone. Air conditioning drones where scorpions once scuttled. Progress smells like stale coffee, but hey, no beetle duty. Count wins where you can. That intern's frantic keystrokes. You've heard their rhythm before in scribes, trembling styluses. Breathe for them too. Time is kinder than you think. Pixelated calendars mimic star charts, yet both bow to the same truth. Dawn comes, always. Your laughter rustles through productivity blogs. Optimized routines sound suspiciously like sunrise prayers. Some songs never change key, and that's all right. The desert breeze carries a chuckle, not cruel, but knowing. Rest now. Even sun-scorched souls deserve dreams unmeasured by water clocks.